Okay, good morning once again. We are still continuing with our topic on training and development. That is under the broader topic, human resource management. So the main thing we are looking at, the topic itself is human resource management. And we have done several subtopics under that. So we are now on training and development. We've done the first one, we've done the second one. Actually, this one, which is the third video, was supposed to have continued with the other one, but time could not allow us to do that. That is why we have a third video. So we are just going to continue. Remember, we were looking at the meaning of management development, and then we look at methods of management development. We look at the on the job, off the job, and then we talked about all of these things. We came to the benefits of management development courses. That was where we came to. So I'm going to continue from there. The benefits of management development courses. If an organization, if a human resource manager organizes management development courses, remember we have learned that when you say management development, we are looking at any attempt to improve managerial effectiveness. So you want the manager to become effective. Remember we said that somebody who is not a manager could be trained to become a manager. A lower level manager could also be trained to become a middle level manager, and so on and so forth. So when you organize management development course, what are the benefits? Very simple. The first one, we said that it allows the organization to replace staff that may leave the organization as a result of retirement, resignation, and what have you. So that it makes it possible for you to use internal recruitment, because you have already trained a manager to that effect. If the general manager is retired and you have already trained the human resource manager for that work, then he is going to replace that manager. Remember, we talked even about understudy. So you can understudy that manager who is retiring and then replacing. And remember, when you are using internal recruitment, it is less expensive. So that is the first point. So that's what I've indicated here. I said replacement without resorting to outside source. Remember, if you are using the outside source, that means you are using external recruitment. This implies that it allows you to use internal recruitment. I said the outside source is expensive. That means the inside source is less expensive. So that is that. The second point, very simple, straightforward, is that it allows the manager, a lower level manager, a middle level manager, or even a worker that is being prepared to become a manager, to acquire new skills and develop the existing skills. So throughout the training, you remember, you have already identified your training needs. You remember when we were talking about the steps involved in this training program, we look at the fact that number one, you should be able to identify your training needs. What are the skills? What are the attitude that the would-be manager lacks? So when you have identified that, then you train the person systematically to acquire those skills. So throughout the training, the person will acquire new skills. The person will improve upon the existing skills. So that is the second point. Acquisition of new skills and development of existing ones. The third point, very simple, straightforward, is that when you go through management development program or course, it will instill, it will put in the management the spirit of cooperation. Remember, you'll be working with some other workers. Some workers will be reporting to you. You will now become a manager. You are going to work with a team. So you'll be trained on how to work with other people. So it will instill in you, it will put in you the spirit of cooperation so that you know how to work with others effectively. So there will be good communication. You'll be trained on good communication. You have done what communication is. So if you say good communication, you know what it is. And then you also learn about interpersonal relationship. Interpersonal relationship. Your relationship with your subordinate. How you should relate with others. So you learn about that one. So then that one, once you learn these things, then they are putting in you, they are imparting that spirit of cooperation in you so that you'll be able to work with others. The next thing, which is the last thing here, very simple, straightforward, is that you remember we have learned long time ago that the business environment is not static, it's dynamic. Things change. Skills that you had when you entered the organization may not be necessary at a certain point in time because of technology. So through these management development courses, you will be exposed to modern method, modern means of managing. So that is very simple, straightforward. You learn new things. You learn about how things are done now so that you'll be very efficient. You know, when you say somebody is efficient, you know what it means because we have done effectiveness and efficiency. So you'll be the manager, the trainee manager will be exposed to modern effective methods of management so that you'll be able to adapt to changes in the industry that he finds himself. If you don't attend such courses, you may not, you know, even common letter writing, how to write a letter formally, the way it used to be done in the past, that is not how it is done now. So you should know that now, where do I put my address? Where do I put this? Where do I do it? How do I address somebody? You know all those things through such courses. So you learn about new things. So that is for the management, training and development. Remember, we talked about the meaning and we look at the methods that are used. Then we have also looked at the benefits. So now we are through with the topic management, training and development. But remember that we were looking at the broader topic training and development. And one of the methods that is used is management development courses. So we have finished with that one. So now we are going to look at the advantages of training program for workers. So that's what we are going to look at. This one is the benefits or the advantages for management development courses. But we are going to look at the advantages of or the need for training program for workers. The very simple, straightforward. The first one, there was this question one of the years. So this is the question. Now, if you can zoom, let's look at it. It said, give 4 major reasons to support the need for training in business organization. In other words, why is it important to train workers? What are the benefits of training your workers? What are the advantages of training your workers? Very simple, straightforward. The definition of training, you remember what we learned. That is a learning process. And in that learning process, the worker acquires skills, the worker acquires rules, the worker acquires attitude, and so knowledge in order to improve upon his or her performance. So that is the first one. Training increases production. So increase in productivity. The question is, how does training help in increasing productivity? Very simple. Once you have acquired the necessary skills, once you have acquired the necessary rules, once you have acquired the necessary attitude for the work, you'll be able to achieve greater or more than you used to. So something that you were using 1 hour, maybe 1 hour you were producing 10,000 units. Now the same hour you can produce 15,000 units. You remember the example I gave in respect of a typist that used to type 40 words per minute. Through training, this typist can now type 60 words per minute. Because you'll be taught how he should even, or he or she should move the fingers and a whole lot of other things, so that you become more efficient. You can increase productivity. So that is for the first point. The second point, very simple, straightforward, is that training improves the morale of the worker. It improves the worker's morale. So the question here is, when you say morale, what is morale? Now remember, it's M-O-R-A-L-E. If you don't bring the E, it becomes morale. But here we are looking at morale. Morale is the collective attitude of workers towards their work, towards management, towards their colleagues, and so on and so forth. So morale determines whether the worker is happy or not. If morale is high in an organization, then it's a positive thing, and that can lead to increase in production or increase in productivity. So always, if you're a manager, you have to see to it that there is high morale in the organization. So whatever you need to do to raise morale in the organization, it is up to you to do that. Now, how does training lead to increase or improvement in morale? Very simple. Now, once the worker has been trained, it means that you have the right skills to perform the job. Now, if I'm teaching and I know what to do, I have the right pedagogical skills to teach, to impart knowledge into the student. I become confident. I teach confidently. So if you look at it, why? And my morale will be high. If I know my left from my right, if I know the ins and the outs of my work, I become happy with the work that I do. But if you don't, on the other hand, if you don't have the right skills, the right knowledge, the right ability to do your work, you can't be happy with your work and your morale will be low. So it builds, because training will build your self-confidence and satisfaction. And that is where you see that improvement in your morale. Morale will be high. And once morale is high, productivity can also increase. Workers whose morals are high are not even ready to leave the organization, they will stay. So we'll even talk about morale somewhere along the line. The third one, very simple, straightforward, is associated with this point here. When we're looking at management, development, replacement without resorting to outside source. So the point here is very simple, very simple. It makes there is a need for training because it makes available future personnel needs. It makes available future personnel needs. Now, as I told you the other time, next year, probably all things being equal, those who will be enrolled in secondary school, they are going to do what we call common core. There is the way they are supposed to be taught. Now, as a result of that, every Wednesday, teachers at 12:45 leave the classroom and they meet in the long room for training so that you have the needed skills and ability to handle those students who are yet to come. So in future, whatever skills that you need, technological skills, whatever it might be, you'll be prepared for that. So that skills, that training need will be made available in future to be used. So it makes it possible for future personnel needs to be made available for the organization. You will not lack the skills that may be needed in future. The next one, simple, straightforward, is that we have done, you remember we did workplace hazard. So under that one, we talk about health hazard and safety hazard. Then we talk about health measures and safety measures. There's the need for training because training will help to improve, or there will be improvement in health and safety measures. If a worker is, they will be trained on the rules, they will be trained on health measures, they will be trained on safety measures, so that you will not be involved in industrial accidents. You know what to do. You know that if I'm going to this place, I have to wear helmet. You know that if I don't have to tag it, if I see that this is what I'm supposed to do. This is the way, if I'm going to this place, I have to dress like this. So you'll be taught that one. So it will lead to improvement in health and safety needs of the workers. The last one here is that training is necessary because it helps to reduce supervision. Now, if the worker is well trained, there will not be continuous supervision. If you have a worker who is well trained, who has the skills, who has the knowledge, who has the ability to do whatever the person is doing, there will not be closed supervision. The manager will do supervision intermittently. Once in a while, you go to find. You know that when you even assign work to this person, without supervision, the person will be able to do the right thing. So it will reduce supervision. Now, when supervision is reduced, what do you think will be the implication? Very simple. That means the number of supervisors will also be reduced. You remember what we did long time ago when we were looking at span of control? When can you use narrow span of control? When can you use broad span of control, wide span of control? The factors that account for that. If your workers are well trained, so we said ability of your subordinates. If your subordinates are well trained, that means you can use the broad span of control. And when broad span of control is used, you know that you have flat organization structure. If you have flat organization structure, what does that mean? That means you are going to use less supervisors. If that is the case, then it means you are going to reduce cost. So that is the point. Now, the final thing you are going to look at is everything that has advantage has also its own disadvantage. But what you need to do is that as whether you should continue to do it or not will depend on whether the advantages outweigh the disadvantages or the disadvantages outweigh the advantages. Training is a good thing. However, it has its own disadvantages or problems. Number one, simple, is the cost involved. You certainly, if you are attending training program, you pay for that one. So participants will pay fee. If you come to UCC for sandwich program, you go to GIMPA, whatever executive programs or what have you, you pay. You pay. So the cost involved. The next one is that they train. Some people may be trained. You train them all right. Supervisory training. The person will go through supervisory training. Now remember that in such trainings, you are trained so that you can also train others. Is that not it? But the problem is that at times, they will spend time to train people. But they will not get the opportunity to also train others. So people may be trained, or somebody may be trained, but doesn't get opportunity to impart the new knowledge to his colleagues. So that is that one. And that will be waste of effort. Waste of effort. So that is it. You go through the training all right, but you not get time to also train others. The last but one here is very simple. Now, okay, assuming I'm the accountant or whoever I am, then I leave the organization, I go for training elsewhere, especially off the job. What do you think is going to happen? There will be backlog of work during the training program or during the training period. What does that mean? Backlog. The work that I'm supposed to do, who is going to do that work? That's number one. So we assume you not employ somebody to do. That means that work will be there waiting for me. At times, practically what I see some people do is that they will come for a program. Then weekends, they will travel back to where they are to go and do the work. Something that you were supposed to use 5 days to do. Now weekends, what can you do? Number two, if the organization you also leave, then even the cost that we are looking at can also be here. Why? Because you may have to employ somebody casually to do what the person is supposed to do. So that is the point. The next one, very simple, straightforward, is that it can breed or it can bring envy, jealousy. Why? Because you see, when you are trained, it means you are going to occupy a position when somebody is not there. Is that not it? Let's say understudy. Okay. So at times, they may choose the wrong people. When the other workers see that it's the wrong person that was chosen to be trained to occupy that position, it brings or it breeds envy and jealousy. When that happens, morale will be low. There will be low morale. The worker, they will not be happy. When morale is low, it will affect productivity. So that is the point here. That's the point here. The last point, very simple, straightforward, which is very important, is that at times when you have spent so much to train somebody, when the person has acquired the necessary skills, before the time comes for you to use the person in the organization, he or she leaves the organization because now he thinks that he has acquired skills and can get better jobs elsewhere. That means you have wasted your money on that one. So some employees leave the organization after being trained. So what the organization they do is that, number one, when they are going to spend so much on you, you sign contract with them that after the training program, you work with them for 10 years, for 5 years, whatever it is. Then if you agree, or if you come and the time for your stay had not elapsed and you want to leave the organization, then there is a certain amount of money that you have to pay. More often, these workers are ready to pay the said amount and leave because they now know that they can get better remuneration elsewhere. So they leave the organization. Now you have lost. Are you now going to train somebody? Even though they will pay the money, are you now going to train somebody? So that is that. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our topic on training. We will continue next time on performance appraiser. Performance appraiser. You know something about it because when we are looking at the functions of human resource management, we look at performance appraiser. And I told you, those functions that we learn are those that we'll be looking at broadly. Till we meet another time, all that you need to do is that don't just watch the video. Because remember, Confucius said, when I hear, I forget. So you know, I put that on your platform. So go and read it again. So all that you need to do is to go and read test book and organize the information well. Interact with your test. Go see to that you also read on performance appraisal before we meet next time. Bye bye.